Hey guys, it's Dragon Ball for Life here today, and I'm back with another video. Now, today's video, I want to talk about why I like the original Broly more than the new Broly. Now, I mentioned a long time ago when I did my Dragon Ball Super Broly movie review, and I think I did another video on, Dragon Ball Super Broly, and I talked about why I personally don't like the Dragon Ball Super Broly movies and the new Broly and my problems with him. And I did mention at that time that I was going to do a comparison between the original and the new version and why I like the original more than the new version. And this is just my personal opinion. You guys, I know a lot of you guys like the newer version, and I understand why, but for me personally, I just don't really like him or care for him too much. And I was planning on making this video a long time ago, but I just felt like, I had some other ideas that I wanted to do. And if I'm being honest, I did kind of forget about it. I was planning to do this actually yesterday, and I even forgot about doing it yesterday. So I'm going to be dropping it out today. Also, I do want to mention the fact that the reason why I thought of this and to bring it back up was because I was watching a Aquaman video. And in his video, he was doing a comparison between the old and the new version. And he was talking about what he loved about the old version compared to the new version, which I do agree with him on a lot of points, but I think there's some stuff I would have gone more in depth on and why I liked him. Now, there's many aspects to a character that makes you like them and why would you like them, but I feel like there's some stuff that are more like, I guess you could say I guess you can say a little more like shallow reasons, and then there's other reasons that are more in depth. And the shallow reasons would be like, small things like, their design, or they have cool lines, compared to, the more in depth thing like, the backstory, their personality, their development as a character. That is more of the depth side. And definitely the reason why people like the newer one is due to the fact that he has far more depth than the original, which most people would consider the original more style, whereas the newer one is more substance. But I think that is still important to have, like, even if it's not a big thing, I think minor things can also, make a character cooler. And I do think that there's some stuff about the original that are just a downright better than the newer version, and I'm gonna go into why I think the original one is a lot better than the new one for me personally, and why other people might think that they like the original Broly more than the new one. Now, first, let's go based off of design. The original Broly's design, if I'm being honest, was amazing. It's one of the best designs I've seen for any character in Dragon Ball, especially for the outfit that he had. That has to be the coolest. But the newer version, he kind of looks similar to the old Broly, but let's be honest, they did change a bit of stuff about his style, which I didn't really care too much for. And when it came to, his outfit and what he was wearing, I also did not like. That's the one big problem about his design, was his new fit, which was basically just wearing Frieza Force armor, which he had like purple like spandex, a green little like hairy pelt around his waist, which we found out in the movie was the ear of one of his friend, which is this giant wolf worm beast looking creature. That's what he was wearing. And then he had, in the beginning of the movie or early on in the movie, he had just basic Frieza Force armor that you saw Togoma, or I forgot what the other guy's name was, but yeah, that armor, then it gets blown off and he's just shirtless with big wristbands on, which I did not like. The original one looks so much cooler. He had this like Egyptian prince vibe or something like that. I mean, he had so much bling. He had gold bracelets with a giant like emerald diamond in the center of it. He had gold earrings, a gold like, I don't know what to call it, but it's like a thing around his neck. He had it around his arms. He had gold boots with also the big emeralds on it. He had cool ass baggy white pants, comfortable fitting pants, and then he had a red cloth around it. And then in the beginning of the movie, he had like this crown thingy on his head, but that was a controlling device. But he just looks cool. His fit is one of the coolest fits I've seen throughout all of Dragon Ball. And people want to say, well, I don't like the original's design because he didn't look like a warrior. Like, why would he be dressing like that and stuff like that? And like, I get it on the logical aspect, like how would he come across clothes that are like that fancy, but also I don't think that's a good argument. That's just stupid. So you'd rather go with a Broly who's dressed up as a basic Frieza Force character compared to one that has an actual unique and cool design. His armor and stuff, his design in that movie, it was a little bit different than the other Frieza Force guys, but it was still on their level, and it was pretty lame if I'm being honest. People who say that just want to say that the new Broly is cooler in every aspect, and in that one I do not agree at all. There's no way in hell you're going to convince me that the new Broly's design, especially what he was wearing, is cooler than the original one. The original one's design was just peak level, and you can tell this when you play Xenoverse 1 and 2, and you get these costumes that you can wear, and some of the coolest costumes to wear, there's a select few, but definitely one of the coolest to wear is Broly's fit. Every time I played the first game or second game, when I got the fit, it was amazing. Everybody loves that fit, but when it comes to at least in Xenoverse 2, you get the Dragon Ball Super Broly's outfit, but it's lame. Barely anybody wears it or wants to wear it. Why? Because the design of it doesn't look that cool or is that appealing. So yeah, the original looks cooler with all the gold. He looks divine and kind of like royal and kind of godly itself. And I love when he transforms, he breaks the bracelets around his arms and his neck, and obviously the controlling device gets off his head. And also, I forgot, he has earrings. He breaks that all off, and I forgot once again his necklace. The necklace is also pretty cool, but those parts break off, and you see that it's just so cool. And that's just what he wears. And the new one, I do not like the purple spandex with the green around it. It looks like a soccer mom going to do yoga. It looks like that's what a fit she would wear, which is kind of embarrassing. It seems very lame to me, if I'm being honest. And people want to say, well, it's supposed to be about the Hulk and stuff, but that's still lame too. It's just a ripoff of trying to copy the Hulk. Also, we've seen that purple and green combination far too much with characters. I don't want to see it again. But yeah, even his design, some people say they're not that different, but they are kind of different. The original Broly was a lot more slender. He was taller, and he was more pale skinned, and his hair was kind of like Gohan's hair from when he grew his hair out as a kid. Whereas the newer one is shorter, more bulkier, and for some reason more tan skin. There's like, why is he a darker skin tone? And except for when he transforms to his his, I don't think it's his legendary form, it's just his full powered Super Saiyan form, he turns white then. It looks weird. He has like a tan like me, and then when he transforms, he has white skin like a white guy. Like, it's just weird. At least the original Broly was more consistent. So I don't like that design. I like the original Broly being taller and slender because it's a great contrast to when he gets bigger, because he gets very muscular. So you go from a slender yet very strong physique to a very big and bulky and muscular physique. If you go from already pretty strong to even bulky, it doesn't change that much. There's not that much of a contrast. Also, making him shorter, I don't know why they made him shorter in his base form compared to the original. The original one, it's a lanky, tall, slender, muscular guy, which does make his design pretty unique. So yeah, sorry for that. I got a phone call. It was an important one. So yeah, going back to it, his design, his build and stuff, I don't think it fit very well. But then also they gave him scars, and a lot of people said, well, that makes him look battle hardened, it makes him look tougher. But the thing that it does is also kind of makes him look weaker, because for him to have scars, that means he was damaged, and that means that he wasn't tough enough to handle the threats that he was against. Whereas the original Broly had no damage. He would go around destroying planets. We saw when he was attacking one, and Paragus tried to stop him, and he punched his eye out. He was, he goes and attacks all these other planets, but he didn't take any damage. So the fact that, the new Broly got damaged or battle damage showcases that he's not that powerful, especially on a planet with just, giant monster bug-like creatures. The fact that he was able to get scarred showcases that he's not as powerful, or looking at least, as the original. So yeah, I just don't like the design. I don't like all the changes they made. It kind of made it look dumb. So I don't really like that when it comes to the design part. But there's more to a character than design. There's also their dialogue. What did they do for, the new Broly's dialogue? most of his dialogue we get in the beginning of the movie where, he's in his base form. Once when he goes into battle, especially when he comes down to, Earth with his dad and Frieza, and they attack both Goku and Vegeta, at that point he doesn't say anything besides yelling. All he does is scream the entire time, from, when he goes to his base form, to his Akari form, to his Super Saiyan form, to his full powered Super Saiyan form. All he's doing in those entire forms is literally just screaming his head off, which is kind of ironic that people would dog or shit on, the original Broly, because all he does is say Kakarot and he's a mindless idiot, which only really happened in the second movie. In the original, he had countless, dialogue scenes, even in his, his legendary Super Saiyan form. But that one, they give him all this praise, but he only talked a bit in this movie when he was, his base form, and he had some clunky, dumb dialogue, whereas when he got, went into the battle, which was like a 40-minute fight throughout the entire movie, he literally was just screaming. So how the hell are you guys going to judge Broly in the original saying he just says Kakarot the entire time, while the new one, all he does is scream? So it kind of seems hypocritical, and it seems like people just want to say he's so much better. But let's be honest, the dialogue does also showcase their personality, and the original Broly had a lot of personality. He was very charismatic, he was very powerful, even with his personality. Whereas the newer one, he's kind of basic, if I'm being honest. Besides, the beginning where he's more of like a timid, lost creature, where he has some anger problems, but he's he's kind of like a Tarzan type of character where he doesn't know better. And that can be endearing, but the original Broly was just so much more cooler with the, the aggression. In his original form, his base state, he is more, mellowed out. He barely talks. He's low, but that's because he's being mind controlled. So he is supposed to be in a calmer state, but you can see that there's something behind his eyes, that there is something that is unstable. And when he sees Goku and, when he snaps, you can tell that this guy's a little, a little messed up in the head, which makes him a lot cooler to me, because it makes it look like, oh, look, he's normal, but when Goku comes around him, then he becomes an unhinged, maniac, which is just, an amazing little thing to have. And then his dialogues in his, his legendary Super Saiyan form were just amazing. People like to say, oh, he says Kakarot, but they forget the, countless, one-liners that he had about, hey, Kakarot, how much do you love your son? The whole, what is, give up, is it, or go easy, is it another word for, grave or something like that? He had so many great dialogues about being a true devil, all this other stuff, which people like Team Four Star made fun of, but it's like, well, the original, the new one didn't have anything to be, he's not unique at all. His dialogue is stupid, oh, I talk like an idiot type dialogue. He sounds dumber than Savage Hulk, whereas at least the original one has some cool lines. So the fans, when they come to there, you can tell that they're biased. If you want to say he's better written, has a better backstory and better motivations, that's one thing. But if you're saying that he is a smarter character, no, he's not. He's a dipshit in the new one. The original one, he can actually talk in full sentences, and he was intimidating, and he would talk trash a lot, and he was very menacing with his dialogue. So no, you can't, be saying that shit. Another thing about the original Broly compared to the newer one, and this is more like just the movie itself, but the movie, in the original one, he had better fight scenes than the newer one. And I know a lot of people say, well, what do you mean? How is it better fight scenes? The movie had the best fight scenes. But let's be honest, what was so iconic about the fights in the, the new Broly movie? The only iconic fights that I saw was when he was punching, Vegeta, and he was blocking and sending him through the ice. And then when Goku reversed the move on, he tried to use the move on him, but he reversed it on him and slammed him on the ice. And then, the Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta, Gogeta fight, where they're just going through dimensions. But even then, there's nothing memorable. It was just because there's bright, flashy colors and the canvas panning around in crazy ways. Whereas in the original one, you see many different, choreography throughout the fight that is just cool. Like when he holds Goku, when Goku knees him in the chin, then he lifts him up and then he tosses backwards and kicks him into the mountain. When, he's fighting against the Z fighters and stuff, he grabs, I think it was Trunks and Gohan, and smashes and throws them to the side, runs at Piccolo. Piccolo comes down, he headbutts him, drops him on the ground, runs, punt kicks Piccolo into the air, and then blasts him, sends him flying, face presses Vegeta into a big mountain. He's bodying Goku through like a mountain itself. He had so many cool fight scenes and so many cool choreographed moments that you see like, wow, that's amazing. Like in the new Broly movie, you can cut out a lot of the fight part and you feel like you're not missing anything because felt really repetitive. Whereas in the original Broly, there's so many shots that you see like, wow, that was a cool one. The cool choreography they put in that. That's really cool. That's really cool. So his moves and the showcase of his brutality through fighting was a lot cooler than the original. He did have some cool moves, whereas the newer one was just simply grabbing somebody and fling them around and throwing them and then just like doing basic heavy hits and then just firing big energy attacks. So that wasn't really that cool either. And then when you get to, like let's say the bigger stuff now, the personality and stuff, people say that the new one's better because he's likable. But there's a difference between, likable and interesting. Just because he's likable doesn't mean he's an interesting or well-written character when it comes to his personality. The original Broly had personality. This one is just, in his base form, is just shy and timid. And his other one is just, he's an unstable, angry guy. Whereas the original Broly, he is more like a calm, low-toned, nice mannered, original in like his base form, but you can tell that he's a little bit, not right in the head. He's a little bit unstable, and then in his, in his legendary Super Saiyan form, he's legit sadistic. He's legit violent. He loves messing with people, like what he did to the race. I forgot what they're called, but like he was talking shit to them. He's like, "You want to go back to your planet?" Firing the energy attack and blowing it up in their face, and then laughing in their face about it. All the dialogue, literally telling Goku, "How much do you love your son?" Threatening to blow up, Gohan. He had so much menacing energy to him. Whereas the newer one, you can connect to him more personally. Like, oh, he's, I sympathize with him, but he doesn't still have much, past that. Also, people say it makes more sense that Broly would be a good guy, nice guy that doesn't know and, just gets angry. And the original Broly doesn't make sense why he's so evil and sadistic. Now, I disagree with this because this also kind of ties in with people's argument about his motivations with the whole, Goku thing, which I'll talk about a little bit later too, because I think that's been very misconstrued. But people say that they like the new Broly because the original Broly is just evil to be evil, and the newer one has actually a personality and stuff. He's actually good. And this is the thing. If you say that, you clearly do not watch Dragon Ball or know anything about Dragon Ball. Because if you did, you would know that the original Broly, the way he's acting, it's normal for a Saiyan. The way the new Broly is acting doesn't make any sense. Now, in our world, in our perspective, when it comes to humans, it isn't for somebody to be horrible or to be really cruel or evil. It is not normal. So for them to be that way, they would have had to go through something traumatic would have had to trigger them to become that way. There would have been some reason why they're bad. And usually, what we hear is that there's no evil people. Like nobody's truly evil. What's the saying? It's like, nobody's truly evil, nobody's born evil, they're made evil, as they go with society, they turn bad. So it doesn't make sense for somebody who is sheltered or in a good life to just come out evil. Now that does happen sometimes. You have psychopaths and sociopaths. You can have people that become just assholes just to be assholes, but naturally that is not how it works. And that would be fine if we're using a human, but when we're using Saiyans, you need to understand that it doesn't work the same. It's actually the exact opposite. From what we see from Saiyans are naturally born evil until they're shown otherwise. Look at, all the other characters. Goku was an aggressive little kid until he hit his head, and then he became a nice, gentle boy. When it came to Vegeta, he was evil until he had to go through multiple years of change and having to deal with, him being better. I mean, he broke a couple times, especially in the Buu Saga where he became a family man, and then he was willing to be mind controlled by Babidi and kill innocent people just for power and to prove to himself that he's still like how he used to be, which is, it showcases how ingrained that evilness is in them, that even when he does have something good, he will betray that simply so he can have the feeling of the other. Though he did change, but he had to go through a lot of steps. And Nappa and Raditz, they just ended up dying because of their evil ways. But yeah, Saiyans, it's very uncommon for them to be good people. That's why when we had the whole backstory in Battle of Gods about the war between the good and the bad Saiyans, it was so surprising that there was good, pure-hearted Saiyans, especially ones that can transfer energy and stuff. Usually the pure-hearted ones we see are half-breeds that are half human and half Saiyan, and the Saiyans that turn good, they're either from Universe 6, which is the opposite of our Universe 7, or these Saiyans had to go through something. Goku had to literally hit his head to change, and Vegeta had to go through many, many years of, being better and being around, good people to be a better person, and still then he struggled. So it makes no sense for, the new Broly to be pure-hearted when we know Saiyans are not pure-hearted creatures. They are born from birth to be killing machines. So it makes no sense. People saying, well, because it doesn't make sense to be evil. But this is Dragon Ball. We know at this point, if you know anything about Dragon Ball, you would know that the Saiyans are actually originally evil. They're the exact opposite of humans. Humans start off normal and until society corrupts them and turns them bad. Saiyans start off corrupt until, society or certain people showcase them the right way, and then they start to change. But even then, they struggle to change fully. So Broly should not right out of the jump in a pure innocent creature, especially seeing as how he was, raised by his father Paragus, who is, a cruel and sadistic man and a guy who is going based off of revenge. He shocks his son and stuff. So it makes no sense why he would be raised good when, one, he's a Saiyan, and we all know Saiyans naturally are not good people and they have to go through something extreme to change them. And two, he was raised by an original Saiyan who is bad and only passed on his vengeance to him. So how did he turn out good? So yeah, through a normal story writing narrative, and when it comes to humans, that would be considered bad writing, just making a character evil to be for like evil's sake. But when it comes to Saiyans, it's the exact opposite. It doesn't make sense for them to be good unless you have a reason why they became good or why they were good. Usually you would assume that they're evil. So why did he become good? And seeing as how in the original movie he was the legendary Super Saiyan, and from what we heard from Vegeta when he was explained to Goku and stuff in the entire time, is when you turn to legendary Super Saiyan, you're supposed to be ruthless, you're supposed to be bloodthirsty, not caring. So when he saw Goku, every time he's like, he was fighting with the idea, is he a Super Saiyan because of how powerful he is? But also he was like, he can't be a Super Saiyan, he's not ruthless. And then when Goku did go Super Saiyan, he did have more of aggression, but he wasn't completely ruthless. And same thing with Vegeta. And that was because they were just a Super Saiyan, where he was the legendary Super Saiyan. And the point of the movie was to showcase that Broly, since he's the legendary Super Saiyan, he is the pinnacle of Saiyans, which we know Saiyans are known for the cruelty and battle-hungry ways. He's the pinnacle of that, the violence, the anger, the worst of the worst. And the Super Saiyan was supposed to make out all the horrible aggressions come out of you, and that's what it did for him, to the point where he was so uncontrollable his own father had to create a controlling device, and if he didn't set up every time, he would have killed him. He had the scene where he was grabbing onto his hand and was about to crush Paragus' skull, because he's just so sadistic. And when we saw him destroying planets, you see Paragus trying to hold back and he punches outside, just showcasing how cruel he is, which fits in line with Saiyans pretty well. It is very non-reasonable for them to be pure good. So his one made more sense why he was that way. It doesn't make sense why this Broly is good. We need to explain why is he good? What made him so good? Especially with his father being the way he is. It makes no sense that he came out that way. Then we come to the motivation. What was the original Broly's motivation? People say, well, he was, Goku was crying as a kid and that made him hate Goku. And the newer one, their motivation, they never really go into in depth what his motivation is, but the best I can come up with is, his dad, raised him to hate them, and he would hate Vegeta, King Vegeta, since he, exiled him. But let's go into the original Broly's one. I think people get this mixed up. They think that Broly's, because you can have more than one, motivations. He did have two motivations, or I guess you can say kind of motivations. One was his hatred towards Goku. The other one was his, his sadistic evil side. Now, his hatred towards Goku, I will agree, is the dumbest reason. Him crying made him, hate Goku is dumb. But people get this very wrong. They state a very stupid argument that they're like, well, you see, he's evil and stuff because he hates Goku. No, that is not the reason. That the backstory they gave us was just the reason why he hates Goku. Now, if you want to say that's stupid, 100% fine. But him being evil and sadistic sadistic and being fucked up, it wasn't because of Goku. That Goku didn't make him evil. He was gonna be evil no matter what, since he's a Saiyan, especially since he had the uncontrollable rage of legendary Super Saiyan, and definitely him dying on death's doorstep by getting stabbed would also make him a bit more unstable. So there's two separate things when it comes to this. If you're talking about his reasoning to hate Goku, yes, it's dumb, but that's not the same thing as his reason to just be evil. People get this wrong, and when I hear them, I'm like, you want to be so critical and try to sound smart, but you sound dumb as hell. You can't tell the difference between the thing. So his motivation for being evil is because of the fact he's a Saiyan, he's a legendary Super Saiyan. It might not be that great, but it does fit in line with the lore and the writing of what we've seen, so it's very consistent. So you can't say it doesn't make any sense. But his hatred for Goku, yes, that is dumb. But people say he should have hated Vegeta and stuff. But here's the thing. He was a baby. Let's be honest. The crying thing is also dumb. It would make more sense for him to hate Vegeta. But even then, I think it's dumb that him as a baby would remember that or care about that. I think it doesn't make sense for him to hate Vegeta either, because he was an infant. I do think it's stupid that somehow he's able to remember something like that as a literal, infant, not even a toddler. It's just ridiculous to me. But then we go into the new Broly one. He's not evil, so his only motivation is his hatred towards them or fighting against them. And people said he hates Vegeta more. He never showed anything about hating Vegeta more. It's just that his dad hated him, and he's like, hey, he was basically a wild animal, and he sicked him on him, like having a dog. It's not like the dog hates that person is attacking. It's just that the dog is naturally aggressive because of how it was trained and raised, and the person that is sicking him on him sicked him on a certain target. That's how I felt like with Broly. He was more like an attack dog, where he just was like, sometimes people, the way they train attack dogs is they don't feed them, so they get them hungry and then they set them off on the person. That's how they, get them more aggressive. I think that's what he did with Broly. Broly was very aggressive, and he already had that aggression in general, but his dad just used it to point it against his own targets. So he was just a puppet while his dad was the puppet master. So it's not, he doesn't hate Vegeta. I mean, why would he? People saying his father exiled him. But do you think he really remembered him getting exiled or really even cared? He didn't seem to say anything about him being exiled as his motivation or reason. When he fought them, he was just angry. Even when Goku was like, oh, you're a nice guy, he was even angry at Goku. He didn't care. Even when his own father told him, like, okay, Broly, it's done. You can't beat them. Just stop. He still didn't listen and went in. Why? Because he just had no control. His motivation kind of was, my dad doesn't like you and he wants me to fight you, so I'm going to fight you, and I can't control myself for whatever reason. They never went into to explain why is he has such an uncontrollable rage, and why can't he control himself. Because you could say, oh, well, he does because that and that. Well, then why didn't he stop when his dad told him to stop? He's just written to be uncontrolled anger, and they just don't really have a reason for that. So even his motivation there doesn't really make sense. And like I said, Broly the original one was made to be showcasing, personifying what the Saiyans are, and their cruelty and their viciousness and their battle hungry stuff. So he was the pinnacle and basically the symbol of what a Saiyan is, and what a Saiyan shows. Whereas the new Broly, it just seems like they're trying to humanize him, which he's a Saiyan, and we've seen that normally that will work, but since he's a Saiyan, humans and Saiyans, mindsets are different. That's why the half-breed Saiyans are significantly different than the original, because the half-breeds are stronger because they can control their emotions more and they have more emotions. Whereas the original Saiyans, they do have emotions, but most of the time they're more focused on eating and fighting, and don't really care too much about other people that much, unless they're very, very well trained. Even Vegeta, even though he's more, better than Goku when it comes to his emotions, caring, he still doesn't give enough of a shit. He'd rather care about fighting and stuff, and he's more aggressive still. So yeah, that's my reason why I like the original Broly more than the new Broly. The new Broly just didn't do it for me, but I can see why people liked it, though I do think they over-exaggerate, saying he's way better written. It's like, no, he's not. He's barely different. He has his reason for being just angry is kind of stupid. At least the Hulk's one makes sense, because the Bruce Banner, it was Bruce Banner's rage, and it accumulated over years and all that shit. He went through the trauma and the abuse and stuff like that. This one, he has no reason to be so angry against random people or just in general. Like, it's just nonsensical. So yeah, that's why I think the original Broly is definitely better than the new one. So yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. See you guys next time.